everybody. Welcome back to Bloom. We've got a fun, chill, lighthearted episode today because we've gotten a little heavy recently and we're both like, it's summer. We want to have a little more lighthearted talk today.
Yeah.
So, we are going to be sharing it's another favorite things episode, and today we're going to feature our favorite books in the categories of spiritual, personal development, and just for fun. And we do have a couple disclaimers, which are always fun, honestly, because life happens. And this happening today at my house. We have a person here replacing some of our floor in our kitchen. So there's a chance you'll hear a bang here and there. Oh, that just
I
happened.
am.
Did you hear that?
Can hear it.
So,
And I'm pretty sure our lawn guy just arrived. So this is good.
yeah.
Everything's good. We're
Yeah, we
fine.
were trying to decide what to do and I was like, "You know what? Let's just do it." There's no facade of life not happening around us. So it is just happening and we're embracing it. Okay. So let's dive right on in. Lauren, how about you start? You tell us what your recommended book is for spirituality.
Yes. Okay. So these are just books that we're not going to say you guys have to go out and read them or whatever it is, but it's like these are the ones we found most beneficial for us. And I've reread this one actually twice. And I have one of her other ones actually on my shelf I need to read. But this one is Super Attractor by Gabby Bernstein. And I love it because one, it's very tangible and easy to read. I like books that are tangible, so you can actually catch on to what they're saying versus having to pause, think what's in between the lines. It's like, oh, this is good. I understand. So she's one of my favorites. I know Kendra's read it as well.
Yes, I love her style, and I love that book. It's very like you
Oh
said,
yeah.
it's very tangible, it's very accessible. She doesn't speak
Mm-hmm.
super, like, out here. It's very like, "This
No.
is X, Y, and Z," and it's easy to grasp and to implement.
Also, too, I have her. Like I said, it's a 6 week challenge, but it's like 6 weeks into basically flipping your entire mindset and being able to just manifest whatever you want essentially. And so that one I'm excited to do. I've paused on doing it because I feel like I'm doing a bunch of new daily things. I was like, we're just gonna wait one moment. I was like, hold on. But that one's really good. I'll have to link it below. I'm blanking the title off the top of my head, but that one looks so good, super tangible once again. Um, Kendra, what about you? Let's hear your spiritual books.
Okay, so I picked 2 actually, because one of my favorite spiritual books has more of a religious undertone, which was really helpful for me coming from a very deeply, uh, religious background and Christian background, and it's by Richard Rohr. I don't have it with me because I listen to most of my books on audio, but it is by Richard Rohr, Rohr, and it's called Falling Upward, and it's a fascinating book about really taking everything that religion gives you as far as structure and rules and black and white and learning how to come out of that and have a more nuanced view of the world, of God, of each other. And it's really using the black and white when it's useful, which is, I mean, with children, as you're bringing up children and as we're growing up, we need those kind of boundaries. We need to know who the good guys and the bad guys are. We need to see what's right and what's wrong because that's part where our brains are in our development need that type of very concrete structure, right? And then as we get older and our brains continue to develop, that frontal lobe specifically fully develops, so we can look at things with more objectivity and more nuance. And he really he walks through that whole process in such an eloquent and inviting way. And I absolutely loved it. I went through a faith transition recently and it was so incredibly helpful to that. So I specifically and especially recommend it to anybody who might be feeling like they're un feeling unstable with their religious beliefs or faith. But on a less religious note, I love this book. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by the great Dr. Joe Dispenza. Anybody who's into spirituality in like the non-religious way probably has heard of or is extremely familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's the guy that has meditations that have cured people of cancer and depression and anxiety. I mean, it is basically mapping out and manipulating your inner world to become who and how you want, what like you choose. It's fascinating. Very much so a read where you might want to take some breaks. You're like, I'm gonna just let that one sink in for a week or two. That's how I read it anyway. It's a lot, but there's also some tangible stuff in here with specific uh well, he gives meditations for you to do, and I think there's an audio companion to it where you can get online and listen to the meditations and stuff, but really fascinating.
I have his I thought I had that one in my car. I have Becoming Supernatural, How Common
Mhm.
People Are Doing, and I'm excited. It's in my Amazon cart. He seems very interesting. Yeah, I like looked him up a little bit because I was like, who is this guy? What's going on? So I'm excited.
Okay, so category number 2, let's move on to let's do, personal development. What do you got for us in the personal development realm?
So we're gonna do my favorite book, and this one I randomly got before a flight. I didn't even know what it was. I literally liked the cover. I'm going to be honest with you. And this is Everything is Figure Outable. And it's by Marie Forello. And she is spicy and she's great, but she truly teaches you. Once again, hers is very tangible on how to get what you're like, get what you want, put your mind on it, go for it, like know how to handle struggles, know what's coming your way, and just know like you really can do anything you want. It's just your mindset. Are you going to let it stop you? Are you going to let it carry you forward? Are you going to try new things? Like, how are you going to get outside your comfort zone? And she's very good at giving examples too, which I think is nice because examples really help people be like, oh, that's easy. I could do that. But they don't think that's outside their comfort zone. So she's very good at that. And I always say the last chapter of that book, if you're ever having a hard day, go read it and you will be just fine. Like, just fine. So she's one of my favorites. She's a great speaker too. She's on a lot of shows on, is it Gaia? Do you call it Gaia or do you call it Gia?
I call it Gaia. I don't
Okay.
know how
I
you
was like,
say it
everyone says it
exactly, but
different.
I think it's Gaia.
She's on, I think she's on Transcendence, which is really good. And she's a great speaker. And I love the way she's very collect, but she's also very like direct and to the point. So I really enjoy her. And she's somebody that cusses in her books, which I love. I know it sounds weird, but it just shows that people are raw and real. You know what I mean, though? It's so
Yeah.
true. You're like, thank you. Like, thank you.
Yeah, I
So
appreciate that too.
she's great.
I love that we're in an era of self-help that isn't stuffy. It's not like, my life is perfect and let me show you how and why. It's like, I guess self-help has always had an element of like my life used to be this way and now I've got it to be this way and this is how and whatever. But
Hmm.
yeah, I love the very real tone that we've got going on with some of our gurus these days, like Marie Forleo and Jen
Hmm.
Sincero and
Yes.
uh, Elizabeth Gilbert is actually who I'm going to feature next. Brene Brown. They're all just very like
Hmm.
they're just
I
fun. They're
know.
fun to read. And speaking of that, that's a great silky
Let's hear
segue.
it.
My personal development book is Big Magic. And I almost picked this for my fun book because it is so fun to read. For those of you who've never read Elizabeth Gilbert, she's the one who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Um, dude, she is so fun to read. She's very conversational and witty and just cute. I don't know how else to is she just freaking cute, man. But she also packs a punch with her cuteness in the way that she talks about things. And this book is specifically the subtitle is Creative Living Beyond Fear, and it's meant for helping people through the creative process, specifically the first part of the creative process. But, and Lauren and I were just discussing this before the call. People think that creative means something in the world of art, like painting or writing or whatever. But we are all creators. We create our lives every single day from the moment we wake up till we go to bed. We are
Hmm.
creating it by the decisions that we make. And we also create our businesses, we create our homes, we create our relationships. Creating is not the word people typically use, but that's what we're doing. And one of my favorite elements of this book is the way that she talks about ideas. She talks about that, she personifies them and talks about ideas like they're beings unto themselves, and they'll come and they'll go, and they also are very they get bored really easily. So they don't sit still. So if you have an idea, oftentimes I think in our culture that we live in here in the United States of America, we're just go, 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 go. And we like, oh, I'll write this down and I'll revisit it later. And sometimes that works, but sometimes later just never comes, right? And her whole thing about ideas is that they are full on moments of inspiration. They come from an outside source, and if we don't honor them by bringing them into the material world, then they will go find someone who will. And so it's really
Mhm.
captivating the way she talks about that and other things. It's such I mean, look at the for those of you who are watching this, if you just look at the cover, it is such a colorful, beautiful book, and that is exactly how it reads. So, like this is a 10 out of 10. Read this a million times. Love this book.
When you read, are you somebody to like write all over your book, or do you like keep it pristine? Not a tear, not a bend, not a mark. What? Who are you when you read a book?
Yeah, I write all over it. I write all over. I mean, I'm not like excessive. I have sticky notes that I'll stick in and I'll highlight nicely. Like I still want it to look nice, but my husband gets really bugged with me because let me show you what I do. He's a writer. He loves writing and he loves reading and he has this like books are like sacred to him. So I will do this and I'll explain what I'm doing for those who aren't watching is I will bend the cover towards the back of the book and I'll hold it like this and he freaks out. He's like, "Don't, what are you doing? The spine, the spine." And I'm like, "Wait, that's how you're supposed to hold books." Like, no, not to Douglas
Like,
crap.
okay.
He's very offended at my bending of my
Oh my
books.
god.
What about you? Are you a marker upper?
Oh yeah, I'm very much so. But also, like, I have to because it makes me slow down and actually comprehend what I'm reading. 'Cause I struggled with reading when I was in all the way through like elementary school and middle school. So I had to write and read, like not write and read. Obviously, I'm going to read it, but I write kind of in the book, see what I'm reading, what's going on, and it allows me just like honestly pay attention because my mind wanders. So I'm like, okay, I get what's going on. So yeah, I write all over, sticky notes everywhere, different colored highlighters. I'm that person. What's a fun book you have that you like to read?
Well, I have an honorable mention here. This is not a new one, so I can't say this is like a recommendation, but I'm a big Harry Potter nerd. So I know. I've read all of the books with my kids. And I will tell you what, I watched the movies first. I read the first 2 and then I stopped there and I've seen all the movies and then read the books following. And dude, I almost would recommend watching the movies for this series first. If you haven't read the books and you've seen the movies, you'll love the books even more. I mean, they are so it helps you understand the character just like anytime you read the book that a movie is made after. Oh my gosh, it's just so it is. It's so uplifting and you fall in love with the character. I love it. Harry Potter is just I know that's super like millennial of me, but I don't care.
No, I need to reread them 'cause I read all of them when I was like in fifth grade. I want to say fifth or sixth. So like, it's been some time to say the least.
Yeah, well, it will mean something totally different too if you read it now. What I really want to recommend here, this isn't even a book. It is a subscription to a magazine, the Magnolia magazine, but Joanna Gaines' little magazine. Holy smokes, the funnest little reads. And there's it's like quarterly, so you get one every 3 months. And I don't just like my kids are 10, 7, and 5. Well, she just turned 6. And I walked in yesterday because I just got this on Saturday, the summer edition. And it sits in my front room so that anytime I'm sitting there, I can just kind of open it and look through it. And my kids were all reading it together. I mean, like really reading it. They loved it. There's some really cute ideas and it's pretty pictures and fun stories. And they're like, "Mommy, we could make limeade. Look at all these limeade recipes. We could oh, look at all these some fun summer activities we could do together." And she always has stuff like that she does it seasonally. So she's got a spring edition, a summer edition, a fall, and a winter. And there's always really fun ideas. The reason that I love it the most, second, or yeah, second only to it would be the design. I love the look of the Magnolia magazine just sitting on my coffee table. I'm like, this is beautiful. But I love how she helps you create moments. Like that's the whole point. So there's ideas for doing fun things, ideas for decorating and setting up your space to facilitate moments and just being. And I need I need and love the inspiration for that, for the being element of living. So, love the Magnolia magazine. What about you? What's your fun read?
I like to read. Well, these kind of go hand in hand. So, I have one book. I'm gonna cuss. It's called "Rich as Fuck," but it talks about just the mindset around money. And then I know, I
I'm
love
gonna
it. I'm like, this is
cuss.
great. Here it comes. Go. So, anyways, um, love it. It's great. She's fun. It's very, she basically explains her whole journey, which is cool. Like she was like, I was life coach. I was doing great. I was making $5,000 a month. Da 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 da. And she explains how she got to where she was and how she doesn't let anybody judge her about her success and how she talks about money and everything like along those lines, which is really cool to see that she's like, look, yes, I can be rich as I can be rich as fuck, but this is how I did it and why I did it and how it happened, which is really cool. But I started pairing that. I've been getting into stocks more this year. It's been my big goal, my focus. I've kind of let it go a little bit because the stock market has been, we don't need to talk about it, okay? We're just gonna let it go. But I did get a book on how to day trade. I don't know if I'll ever have time for day trading, but I find it very interesting, so I can know like what I'm looking at when I trade stocks, buy stocks, whatever it is. So I find it's a whole other ball game. So also, let's not forget, y'all, I am terrible at math. So it's fine. But those are fun to read because it stimulates your brain elsewhere. Essentially, it makes you just think differently. But something fun I do, I guess it's not really a book, but I'm a big puzzle person, and puzzles for me are soothing. They're creative. They're like a whole distraction, something different, to stimulate my brain, and I like them. So for me, it's like something fun I do that's like similar to reading, stimulating your brain, making you feel good, things like that. I love puzzles.
Yeah. That's such a great.
Love.
And you go to like Barnes and Noble and there are always puzzles there. And I think it's I never really considered. It's probably because it does stimulate the brain in a similar way. It's like a low stakes, like we're unplugging, we're relaxing, but we're still stimulating that little brain and the little pathways.
Tony got me a wood puzzle for Christmas, but you couldn't, it had letters on the back. So you had to line up all the letters. So I put the puzzle together upside down and lined up the letters and then flipped it. It was the coolest thing ever because I didn't know what it looked like. And I flipped it and it was the
Wow.
Titanic. It was like when it was sailing and when it sinked and they were like next to each other. It was the coolest thing ever.
Wait, that's way cool. Lauren and I are both big readers. We love to read. I do the majority of my, historically, I've done the majority of my reading on, well, kind of 50-50, but over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of audiobooks. And so if you are someone who's like, I just don't ever see myself sitting down to read, but you have a commute or you go on runs or walks or do cardio of any kind, try listening to books during that time. It brings a whole new energy to whatever you're doing. And I mean, it's just when you're sitting in traffic, sometimes it is super productive to just sit there and jam out to your favorite song. But you can think about how many hours you could be like learning or be like just stimulating your brain and having fun. And, it's a totally different type of fun, like you said, like with puzzles, it's still stimulating your brain. You're still imagining the characters in your head. Or, like I said, you could be learning. You could be, in fact, one of my reading or driving books, because I drive out to Waco every now and then to do our podcast. And one of my driving books is called Astrophysics for People in a Hurry by Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm never going to sit down and just casually read about astrophysics, but when I'm driving and I have an hour and a half to just like sit there, I'm like, I'm going to learn something. And it's fascinating. Like I don't necessarily need to know it, so I'm not taking notes or anything. It's just like I'm going to absorb whatever I my brain decides to absorb, but it's interesting, right? So there's a lot of ways to do it, but reading is good for the brain, it's good for the soul. And we'll probably do another one of these at some point because we, like I said, we both love reading.
And don't feel like you have to sit down and read a whole book. Like read 2, 3 pages a day, and then you'll end up reading more and more often, and you'll enjoy it, and you'll find it as like a relaxing end of day. I start my day with reading. Actually, I read before I work, and I like it that way better. But we'll see. Because I'm probably gonna read tonight. I'm in a good book, so I'm like I'm gonna keep reading. Here we go.
Mhm.
So it just depends. But just ease into it, enjoy it, and you don't feel forced to read. Like do audiobooks, like Kendra said, and just find something you like.
What are you reading right now, Lauren?
I was gonna ask you the same thing. So I just finished Emotional Intelligence 2.0, which was good. I actually made the whole Atlas team read it. I it was very interesting. I like stuff like that. So I just finished that. I'm doing a lot more like self-development work type books. I have How to Be a COO because I just want to learn the
Mm.
back end of business and basically managing large businesses in the sense of like what it takes, how to organize, how to have culture and structure things and hard conversations. So I'm doing that one right now. And then also,
The Dark Side of Light Chasers.
thank you. I'm so excited. That's what I want to read tonight. So,
Right now I'm reading this really pretty book. I actually have it right here. This one. It's called Discovering the Inner Mother. It's super pretty. I'll always buy the
ooh,
book if it's pretty, even if I'm listening to it,
me too.
because I'll, you know. And it's a guide to healing the mother wound. It's about learning how to parent yourself. It's inner child work. The mother wound is something that you develop if you have any kind of strain with your mother. And it also is societal because of just historically how we have been
Mhm.
raised. We've been raised in a community or in a society that is patriarchal, which is, created for men. Again, I will never be on here talking badly about men. Like I hate men, I don't, but it's just true. It's the truth. And we're shifting hopefully, but so there's a lot of things this motherhood can come from, but it's been a journey. It's actually wrecked me, if I'm being totally honest with you. So just be prepared. It's especially as a woman, everybody can deal with the mother wound, but especially as a woman, and I'm the oldest and I'm a female, there's a lot. So it's unearthing a lot of stuff, and it's um, from everything that I've learned about the mother wound, it is the most painful wound, and it is the most, what's the word I'm looking for? The most, not, I don't want to say the most difficult to heal, but the most, it's just an emotional roller coaster. It's painful to
Yeah,
heal, really. I didn't want to say that, but that's what it is. That's pain
it
can be
is.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm.
So
You're going to have to keep me posted. How far are you? Did you just start or are you like more than half?
I did just start. I'm not quite halfway. It's a lot. Like I said, I've kind of had to like be like, "Am I up for
Ooh,
this today? Am I up for this?" Because it's a lot.
here we
Um,
go.
but I'm
I get it.
also I just finished one called The Happiness Hypothesis, which is a really cool book. It's all about happiness and human happiness. It
Yeah.
puts things into perspective. Highly recommend that one as well. It's by Jonathan Haidt. I think is how you say his name.
Jonathan Haidt.
Hiddt, something like that. You'll see it. He also wrote The Coddling of the American Mind, which is one that my husband and I have started reading together. It is fascinating. He's a good writer. He's a good writer. I like his style.
Dude. He's making me, I just have like so many books I want to read and buy. I'm like in that phase where I have so many books. I'm like, I need to slow down. Do you ever like buy too many at once? And you're like, okay,
Oh yeah,
just
all the time. And I'm reading
stop.
like I'm never only reading one book. Like I have like
No,
because you've got to be in the mood for certain things. Like
exactly.
sometimes I'm in the mood for personal development. Sometimes I just want to let loose. Sometimes I want to like be in the world of magic and spirituality and
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Love it. It's so true. So true. If you have any books you want to share with us, please send them our way. We love
Mhm.
recommendations, anything you have. But we hope you guys enjoy some of these. They'll all be listed in the description box below. And if you guys end up reading one, let us know. Let us know what you think.
Yes.
And we appreciate y'all and send this over to a friend so you guys can read them together, chat on them together. And make sure you follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube and Spotify, all the things. But
All the things.
all the things. And we will see you next time. See ya.
Bye, guys.